We'll take questions now for Coach Sonny Dykes. Star 1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue, and the operator will introduce.
Thank you. Our first question comes from Stephen Hawkins from Associated Press. Please go ahead.
Sonny, like you said a minute ago, TCU's got a pretty good team. You were there last year. You're pretty familiar with what they've got with the year there. Just what are your impressions on what Gary has kind of put together this year? What were your impressions on what Sean Robinson did, a kid that you worked with last year?
Yeah, obviously what Gary's done at TCU has been pretty remarkable. They bounced around kind of from conference to conference and conference, and as all that stuff was shaken down in college football once the Southwest Conference broke up. And, the thing that they did is they went from one league to the other, and the consistent thing was they just kept winning. And as they won, they continued to invest in the program, and the more they invested in the program, the more they won, and the more they won, the more they invested in the program. And lo and behold, when the Big 12 expanded, they were sitting there and became a really viable option, and then have continued to grow from there. And so, from a facility standpoint, they're excellent. I mean, they've got some of the best facilities in the Big 12. They have a great recruiting base in Fort Worth, and that's allowed them to recruit really good players. I think for years and years and years, Gary did it by finding some diamonds in the rough. And now, if you look at who they're recruiting, I mean, they're one of the most formidable teams in college football to recruit against. They can recruit against anybody in the Big 12, and really anybody in the country. And so, if you're a kid from Texas and TCU's recruiting you, you're going to consider them just, again, because of the success, because of the longevity and consistency of Coach Patterson, and because of their investment in facilities. And it's a great place to go to school. So, I was a little surprised just how good their players were, and how well they had recruited through the years. I knew that they really did a good job of developing guys, but I was very impressed with their recruiting prowess. And so they've got a very, very talented football team. You look at the number of guys that were seniors last year on their team that made it into NFL camp. It was double digits. I think almost 11 or 12 kids that were seniors last year got into NFL camps. And so that's a very talented football team. As I said, they've recruited a tremendous amount of speed, probably have as good a returner in college football in Kavonte Turpin, both punt returner and kick returner. Sean Robinson was a very heavily recruited quarterback, probably could have gone anywhere he wanted to go in the country from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and chose TCU and is a big, strong kid that's got a lot of ability. The thing that was probably most impressive about Sean was just, the kind of character kid he is. Very high character kid, very hardworking kid, great parents, just everything you want from a quarterback. And like I said, tremendous upside. And so, he's a guy that I'm sure is going to be able to operate their offense well. Their offensive coordinator, Sonny Cumbie, really sharp guy, young coach, knows how to develop quarterbacks. And so, I'm sure Sean will have a great year.
One other quick question for you. Is there any advantage, do you think, because of the year you had there last year? And do you expect much gamesmanship from Gary, knowing that you're on the other side this week?
Well, I'm sure Gary feels pretty good about his team. You know what I mean? I mean, they've got a lot of really good players. And so, I don't know. I mean, the thing that Gary does so well is, he knows exactly what he believes in. And, his team always does that well. They're always going to do certain things well on defense. They're going to be really simple on special teams, but really good and really well coached. And they're going to build their defense and offense around their playmakers, and they've got a lot of those guys. And so, I would imagine, he'll change a couple of things here and there, but I think at the end of the day, he's going to do what's made him successful and what he's comfortable doing. And as I said, I know that he feels good about his football team.
All right, Sonny, I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
And do you have any other questions for Coach Dykes, please? Star 1 on your telephone keypad, if so. Coach, that's all we have today. Thanks so much for your time. We look forward to hearing from you again next Monday.